Wait a minute, how do I advance my slide one more time?
Right click and choose next page.
On the podium.
On the podium.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, you can go ahead.
All right, good morning, everyone. This is an interactive talk, and so I'm excited about being here. My name is Winona Hatcher, and I am the Instructional Designer at Georgia Regents University in Augusta, Georgia, home of the Masters. And so today I want to talk to you about what I've kind of learned about doing feedback, and in my attempt to learn some creative approaches to giving feedback. So sometimes when you are teaching, I want to know if anyone's had this experience. Have you ever wondered if anyone was listening to you? You looked out in the audience and you saw all these different types of faces, and you wondered if anyone was listening. Because you talked, then maybe one person talked, you talked some more, and then you heard complete silence. You kept talking, and then you saw someone sleep or playing on the internet, and then you talked and just talked. Like right now, I'm looking at all of these avatars and wondering if you're listening to me. So today, I want to talk to you about, thank you, about using video to provide effective feedback. So as we think about this, we want our learners in this particular session to be able to explain feedback, to explain screencasting, and then how to use video to provide feedback. Now, I want to give you a couple of symbols. When you see this image, class, that means that you have an opportunity to talk. Now, throughout the presentation, if you want to ask questions, please feel free to do so. Now, feedback. What is feedback? Okay, I lost the slide in there. But what is feedback? That's the question I want to ask you guys. What is feedback? You can talk.
Response from assist.
Did someone say responses?
Yes.
Okay.
Information provided based on something that you've received. Information provided to the sender or the provider of that information.
Okay, great. Anybody else?
Hopefully encouragement to your students of what they're doing.
Great. You guys are giving great ideas. All right. Now, for this presentation, I want to think about feedback as information that a person's performance of a task that can be used as a basis for improvement. Now, when you think about that, you have to also think about why should you give feedback. And I heard you guys say like encouraging words, giving comments about things. When the reason that we want to give feedback is that we want to help the learner gain understanding of what they need to perform or learn. And so one of the things that I learned over the years is that as I began to work with students and I give them homework assignments or I give them things that I want them to do and I want them to practice, what happens is that they may do that task. And if I don't set the time limits right, then what happens is they'll continue to do what they were doing before. I teach computer skills. So I may want them to learn how to, say, print a document. Well, they may do it in a way that I don't want it done because I'm trying to teach a specific skill. But if I give them assignment, they do it. And it may be a month later, I give them feedback on it. They won't know what they need to correct. So when we're thinking about feedback and what we do, we need to think about it's for the learners. Okay, we have points that we want to make, but always understand we're trying to maximize their potential. We want to raise their awareness of their strengths and the areas that they need to improve. We also want to identify the actions they need to do to improve their performance. So when we're thinking about feedback, sometimes we have in our mind, well, they didn't get it, they didn't understand. But how in our feedback can we help them maximize their potential? Now, when we give feedback, what do you think happens when feedback is not given or is misunderstood? What do you think happens?
There's a lack of understanding, especially if you have assignments that build upon each other. If you don't get that initial feedback in a timely fashion, then your next set of works is probably not going to be correct.
That's true. Very true.
And to build off of that, the students, people feel lost and then just disengaged.
True. I was listening when you were talking about gaming too. Someone else? I want you to think about this. When you don't give feedback, it sends a nonverbal communication to your students or to the people, and it leads to mixed messages. I heard someone saying they don't understand or they disengage. And then also it gives them a false assessment by that learner of their own abilities. And the last part that I have to really think about is that it also can cause a lack of trust in the teacher or the clinician. So when we think about feedback, when we have things that we are doing in our classes, or even when we're talking to them, we have to be careful of the message that we're sending. So we want to make sure that they understand what they need to do, how they need to do it, how they can improve on it. And by doing feedback, then we can gain their trust. And here it is again. Leads to mixed feelings and messages, false assessments of their abilities, and then lack of trust. If you have been a student, which I think we all have at times, there have been times when you didn't understand the instructions and you tried reading them, you tried asking for explanation, but sometimes you just couldn't get it. And then that feeling can also cause you, like someone said, disengage. It also can cause you to say, you know what, I give up. I don't think I'll ever get this. But we want to make sure that we give good feedback to them. Now with feedback, one way that we give feedback is grading papers. And so in my profession, I have to grade papers a lot, or had to grade papers a lot. Students were doing keyboarding assignments, and we sometimes think, well, that's so easy. However, if you're trying to teach a person how to type a letter in the right format, what fonts to use, what headings to use, I had to do a quick turnaround on grading those papers. And then as I graded those papers, one of the things that would happen, and you can tell me if you've been there or not, is I would grade the papers, and before they walked out of the class, they threw them in the trash. And my feelings were crushed. They did not know how long I labored over writing all those comments on it, marking all those papers, giving the grade, and then they didn't take it with them and apply it to what the next situation was going to be. Now, when you think about grading, you want to think, what is the goal? What is the goal when I'm grading my papers or when I'm talking about getting ready to give that assessment, that feedback? We want to make sure that the student knows what they need to do, they understand what they need to do, and then we also need to know what they need to do with it. So as you're thinking about your day, I had a professor who was giving feedback. And so she wrote a page. I mean, it literally was a page of information for the student. And I had to really talk to her about, okay, what do you really want them to understand and how to narrow that down so the student can understand and process it. See, all of this is important because people forget. As Confucius says, what I hear, I forget. What I see, I remember. What I do, I understand. And as teachers or people in general, we speak about 100 to 200 words a minute. But our students can only concentrate on 50 to 100 words a minute. Like right now, I am talking to you. In the background, your phone may be ringing. You may be reading something else. Someone may walk in. So sometimes our concentration can be interrupted. And so thinking about those things, we want to remember about feedback, because seeing and hearing is not always enough. I can write on the board, I can talk to them and listen, but sometimes it's just not enough. But seeing, hearing a video, time to reflect, can definitely help out. Why do I say that? When a person hears something, especially for the first time, sometimes they have to go back and process it. They need some time to reflect. They may need some time to look up some terms, and then they can comprehend it. Well, when we're in class and we're giving out notes, we're saying take notes, read your book. But for some students, taking notes, listening is a challenge for them. And they may not have a disability statement, but it's too much for them to handle all of it. So they have to choose one. We've heard this expression, a picture is worth 1,000 words. But think about it, memories are priceless. So when we're in our classes or in our environment, training, whatever it may be, not only are we trying to convey the information, but we also want it to be memorable. We want it to be a great experience also for them. And so I introduced to you screencasting. For some of you, you probably already did screencasting before. For some of you, it's new. But screencasting is the idea that it's a digital video recording that captures the actions that take place on a computer screen. What I like about screencasting is that I can do it in my home. I can do it on my private time. As we continue to think about it, that when a screencast, it normally has a voiceover narration. It can demonstrate how to do something. For example, you can learn steps. If you've ever been on tech support for your computer and they told you to go and do some term you didn't understand, but if they were able to take over your screen, meaning they would come on and you would see their mouse clicking around, it helped you to understand that concept. Also, it captures the information, and then it synchronizes the audio and the video. And then the software will also compress it. Now, to do screencasting, you do need a video capture software. Okay? And depending on where you are, you can use different types. In this day and age, what I love about technology and how it changes is that now I can use my phone, I can use my iPad, my tablet, I can use my computer, and I can also do it in the classroom. So they're very different types of software. The one that I want to talk to you about today, and just try to get you to talk about it, is called Jing, if you've never heard of it. Jing is my friend, and Jing is a compression software that lets you record your audio and your video, and it captures that. What I also like about Jing, for example, it will let you capture segments. So for example, if you have your entire monitor or your screen full, you could reduce it and maybe do a small window of that versus the entire screen. So that way, as a person who's doing their narration, you could have the screen on one side and your notes on the other side, or your script while you're reading it. So the students don't know. The only part they're going to see is the part that you're recording. On our campus and some other campuses, we use Echo 360. We have what's called a classroom capture, and then we have a personal capture. The personal capture is for our personal laptops or our computers, and it will capture what's on the screen. But with Echo, it does the entire screen. And then there are other software, Adobe Voice, and you can Google tons. But today I just want to talk about Jing. Now Jing, the reason it's my friend, because I am in education. It's single and it's free. Can I get a hand clap for free? If y'all can move your gestures. It's free. There you go. Free. It allows you, like I said earlier, to capture the information that you see on your computer screen. It allows you to record what you do. And it takes recordings of the actual screen. You can use it for Windows. You can also use it for Mac. Then a more robust, meaning if you've heard of Camtasia and Jing, they're sisters. But Camtasia has more features on it, and you do have to pay for that. Now with Jing, it's quick and it's easy to share. So when you have Jing, the software, you can record. And another part that I love about Jing, it's only 5 minutes. When we do lectures or when we record information, we have to think about our learners and understand that we need to probably bring it in smaller segments. Doing a 20-minute video is nice. However, think about it this way. If I am, which I often am, at a game or I'm at practice with my child and I wanted to do some work while I'm sitting there, it's easier to go through a 5-minute video than it is a 20 or a 30 or an hour video. The 5-minute also for us when we're teaching, if you give it the right label, you could take that video and use it in different areas of your class. So for example, let's say I teach email and I teach email protocol. With that, in all of my online classes, I want them to know about email, maybe how to contact me, where to put the subject, where to put the heading, what to put in the body. Well, if I label that, my email overview, I could take that video, 5 minutes, and just place it in every place that I want it to be. If I did a whole lecture on video 20 minutes, I may talk about the history of email. I may talk about how to format it, the software to use to create the email. See, now I've got this long video when really maybe a student wants to remember, how do I just email my professor? That's all I want. So it allows you to do that. Not only can you do that, but you can also share the recordings. So with this, you have to excuse me, I'm having a technical difficulty because I can't see. But when you look at the formula for this, you can see that you have images and video, and then you have audio. And then you have effectiveness. But let's talk about that. I want to introduce you to Jing. So, see if I can get this right.
What would you do if you wanted to take a picture of your computer screen? For a long time, people used the print screen key to grab an image, but that was it. It didn't save it for you, it didn't share it, and forget about creating a video. That's why we made Jing. Stationed conveniently on your desktop, Jing is the easy and always ready tool you can use to take a snapshot of your computer screen or create a quick how-to video. When you create something with Jing, it doesn't just disappear. Jing saves your images and videos for you and even lets you share them. Send your images through email, add a video to your blog, share a link to your content via Twitter, and more. Communicating visually is easy with Jing. That's why people around the world use Jing to create tutorial content, give feedback, or just grab and share something funny. So give it a try. Jing is free, and you can download it today for your Mac or PC.
Okay. Now, I'm not sure how that looks there, but that was only a minute. And in that minute, you learned a little bit about Jing. Now, when you use Jing, you do have to download the software. When you download the software, you will see a sun, and there is 3 parts to it. You can do a capture, you can do a history, or you can do more. So when you have the capture, you click on capture, and then what happens is it will come up on your screen, and you can decide how long you want the area to be or how wide, and then you save those settings, and then from there you just hit record and you start talking, and there it is. Now, when you finish with the video, you can actually upload it to Screencast. This was the other part that I liked about Jing. With Jing, you have a place where you can store your videos in the cloud. So when you do that, you make the recording, and then you could share it. It gives you a URL, and then you just paste that URL wherever you want it to go. And the video is there, the students can access it, and it's stored there. Any questions so far? Okay, go ahead.
Can you upload your video to your LMS, or does it have to be web-based?
Yes, you can put it in your LMS. Yes, yes, and yes. You can definitely do that. See, where when the videos, you want a place to house the videos, and so Screencast comes with Jing, and it's free. You have free storage. I can't remember the amount because I've had mine a long time, so I kind of they give free updates. I say, give me some more storage space. And I've had my videos actually there since like 2009. So they're just waiting there. And you take that link and they just keep it there. You can also download the videos. So you could download them to, a hard drive, or I've taken the videos, and then I've also, when we're talking about your LMS, I would go in to there, and when I graded their assignments, I would give them the link, and then also sometimes I gave them the actual file. And the reason I did both was early on, sometimes they couldn't open that media file. So that way I gave them the link, and I had it in 2 places. But between the 2, they should have been able to get to it, which they did. And they also liked it because I have a lot of visual learners sometimes, and they hate reading, and reading's not their best thing. So they liked having it in both places so they could go back and watch it. Any other questions? Okay, and as you can see on the slide we were just talking about, you can put it in your LMS. You can also download that video, and you could actually put it to YouTube. So anywhere, any place you can host it. SchoolTube, Vimeo. You could also take it, because I talked about Echo. You could take that file, if any of you are using Echo, and then actually upload that file to Echo and have it processed. So you could do a lot with the media file. I want to show you the screencast. And I think this time I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to see if I can just go to the URL. Now, on this screen, you see TechSmith, that's who makes Gene, and also Camtasia and some other products. And I'm not plugging them, I'm just talking about Gene. Okay, so here you have your screencast, and then like I said, you have reasons you can use your screencast here, and see you get 2 gigs. Now, truthfully, don't buy any more space. Just get rid of what you have, and then like I said, sometimes they'll send you little notices and you can get more space, but I wouldn't buy any more space. So that's the screencast. But remember, you can put it anywhere. Uh-oh. Let me come back over this way. Okay, David, I'm not doing well in this gaming. I'm not doing well with my controls.
It's okay, it's all part of the mastery. 10 hours.
Okay. All right, now let me show you a couple of things. Let's see if I can get this to work right. What I want to do is show you some of the things that I've actually done. And that's what I'm hoping is going to work. Okay, I think I'm going to share my screen. So, because I've been using this a long time, I do have a lot, as I said before, but it's not my primary source. I use other things also. Okay, I don't know if that's blurry for you, but here I have files, and on this one I have just some basic ones because I started using Echo after a while, but I do use this. And so you can't see the dates on this, but this one is probably 2009. And then you'll see where I have pictures. Let's try and see if I can make this larger. For example, here you'll see a picture of a person here, and that's actually an Excel lesson that was done. And so what I did was went in and did an overview. So let me do one more thing. Okay, this is the one. Now, with this particular video, I want to talk about with ways to use the video. What I would do, if I can get it to work, is now it doesn't want to work for me. Hold on. What I'm doing is taking a video now, and I'm going to theoretically share it. And see, I could send an invitation to the students so that they could see it, or whomever. You may be doing something else. Because I also use this with faculty. Because I work with faculty, sometimes I send them instructions, but I will also send them a video to show them how to do it. So this would be an example. And then what I would do is I would go through the document. And it's only 5 minutes. So I love 5 minutes. It's not going to be longer. I don't have to worry about it. I'm not trying to do a documentary. I just want to do a little bit. So I would come in and I would say, Sarah, I looked at your paper. And the first thing is that this should have been red. The title should have been red instead of blue. And I know you're going to work on that for the next time. And then your table of contents. It looks great. However, what I really wanted you to do with this table of content was I wanted you to actually use the insert feature. And no, not insert, references, and then actually use table of contents. Now, for my demonstration, I'm on the paper, but if I wanted to do the teacher anywhere, I would enlarge that. They would actually always keep those table of contents. Okay. And see how I did it, right? All right. Now, what I was trying to show you here is what I normally do with students is I will open up their documents. If they're doing a document, whatever it is, I will open it up and then I would show them what I wanted them to do. I would also use track statements or add comments. So they would have the written comments, but then they would also have my voice. Whenever, I know for me, I get a paper back from, because I take classes sometimes, and a professor, and I know they've written on it, but because the notes go maybe on the next page, they're all over the place, I can't read the writing. What happens is I don't know where I'm supposed to have made that change. Is the change one sentence or is the change the entire paragraph? Was I totally off whatever I did? So with the video, what's nice is you could go through, if it's a paper, and say, you see this paragraph here. This should have been written this way. You could also have a sample beside. Now, when you do this the first time, it does take a little time, but this is the key. Get your best student. You know who that person is. And normally theirs is probably going to be right or close to it. As you're going through the document, you'll have these items that you want to point out. So you have the screenshot of the paper. On your side, you can have a list of things that you know you want to do. If you have a rubric, it's really great because with the rubric, you already know student did not put the title. And so you can go and say, this is where your title would be. And you can go down and do that through the whole paper. And then at the end, you just give them that plus whatever the grade is. And then, like I said, if you have a rubric, that is really great. So your rubric, a video of instructions, and then also the grade all together. So not only will students look at the grade, but they will also look at the feedback. Then they have an opportunity with the video to stop the video, to go through the video and say, wait a minute, I'm not sure if I understood. Let me go back over it. So they can rewind it. And remember, it's short, so it's only 5 minutes. They can go back later at a later time. I have actually seen people at the hairdresser, and they are taking quizzes on their phones. They can use their phones, they can use their tablets. So it makes it more convenient because whatever we write on those papers, like I said, sometimes it's hard to read the writing. Sometimes it's hard to understand the terms. And then if that's the case, you can do this. You can go through and grade all of your papers, and then you can make an assignment overview. And I actually have a video, but I don't think it's going to show like I want it to. So this is what I do then. I will take and say, listen, class, this was the assignment. This is what we're going to do. So I would give them the instructions, and I would walk through, this is what happened. But these are the problems that I saw. If I was doing a letter, for example, I could say, you forgot to put the address. Now the address format goes this way. I can use that later after everybody's finished everything, put that document in my LMS, put a link to it, and now the entire class can go through all of the notes. The other way you could do video is for the instructions. When I work with faculty, many times they write instructions, and I have too, that to them makes sense. But as a student, it's like, I don't understand, what do you really want? What are the steps? Maybe you write something and forget that the student has to go research it somewhere else. Well, with the video instruction, you go take that assignment, have it up on the screen, you videotape it, and you go through the assignment. Okay? So you walk through and you say, this is what we're going to do. And you remind them of tips. Do this, do this. And then you save that. So now you've got the instructions, and then you have an actual video that goes with it. For accessibility issues, because someone may not be able to hear or see the video, then what you do is you do need a transcript of what you're saying. One quick tool that I learned, it's not 100%, but if you upload it to YouTube, you can actually get your captions there. Another thing that you might could do is while you're doing the video, on my tablet or in my phone, I have Dragon Naturally Speaking as an app. It's free, and it's really pretty good. You could actually record what you're saying that way, save that file, clean it up, and then you could give them the transcript. So yes, it does take a little time, but in the end, the main thing that when we teach, we want our students to know what we're doing. We want them to understand what they have to do, and then we want them to do it. So that way we can assess them correctly. Now, any questions, anything, comments you want to share, anything?
I use Jing also.
I think it's also an interesting tool for short videos.
Can you, I couldn't hear you. Could you say that one more time?
Let me see if I can get close to the microphone. I said I'd like to sometimes use Screencast-O-Matic, which is also a good tool for short videos.
Yes, and it's also a great tool, and that's online. So you can actually do it online, and it will save it online. So you don't have to download any software for that one. And Veronica, you were going to say something?
I was just going to add that I also use Jing when I get routine questions on how to do this or that in Blackboard. I'll send the instructions like you said earlier in your presentation, and also have a video that's less than 5 minutes. And when I have to use it again, I just reuse it. And I'm also a fan of Screencast-O-Matic, especially for student activities that require them to do a recording, and it keeps them within the time limits because the free version is only 15 minutes.
That's true. Another way you could do it is the students can use the video also to turn in assignments. From my own personal experience, there were some things I had to do, and I just said, I don't have time to write it. And so I said, can I turn it in any kind of way? Not any kind of way, but can I alter it? And they were like, okay. So I just showed the screenshots of me actually performing the task and doing what I needed to do. So what I want you to get out of this is that, one, that you understood what feedback was, and think about it in a different approach versus just, I want to give them some things to think about. But what is our goal? What do we want them to know? What do we want them to understand in that, so that we know what feedback is? And then also remembering that if we don't give feedback, we have sent them a nonverbal message that can send, it causes confusion for them. And then also I wanted you to know about screencasting, just that idea of that you video, you are recording your screen, what's on your computer screen. And then finally, that you can use video as a tool for feedback. It is a tool, Use it wisely, use it well, but it is a tool that you can use. Because in the end, no matter what, we want our students to learn the content, to understand that content, and then also be able to apply the content. All right, any other questions? Any concerns? Any other statements?
Winona?
Yes?
I thought it was a great statement when you say when you don't provide feedback, you're sending a message. That certainly is true, and I guess we don't think about the flip side sometimes, but excellent, excellent point. Thank you.
Thank you. And